Hi everyone, we're here at Herrick Lake Forest Preserve, part of DuPage Forest County's properties that they manage, and we're going to be talking today about solids, liquids, and gases, and how those states of matter interact and what it actually looks like to be a solid, a liquid, and a gas. So right now you can see behind me Herrick Lake, and that is obviously an example of a liquid, okay? You can see it kind of moving as it flows. Liquid is made up of a bunch of tiny particles of water all tightly packed together. And one of the things I like about liquid is, have you ever noticed that when you are dropping liquid, let's see if I can get my hand in front of you, the water droplet stays on your hand somehow. So that's a water droplet right there. And there it goes. So it actually sticks to your hand a little bit. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but why would water stick? What would cause it to stick? Besides liquid, solids are here too. You can tell behind me there's trees, there's benches, there's tons of solids all around us. So one of those solids is wood, and wood we use as a building material for a lot of things. So wood that I just showed you is used as a barrier to stop erosion from happening, which is washing sand and dirt away from the banks of the lake, so that way it keeps its shape. Because wood is a strong material, you can't push through it, so that water stops against that wood. Matter is made up of tiny little particles. So when we think of tiny little particles, we've been talking about how it looks like blocks or Legos all put together. It looks like these little blocks. And essentially, that's what everything is made out of. So if you look at solids like the stone or the wood used behind me to make that structure, those are actually a bunch of teeny tiny little pieces packed together tightly like this. Okay? And then if we were to look at liquids, like the water behind me, it's a little less compact and put together than what a solid is. So when we think of liquids, we can think of those same blocks, but they're moving a little differently. They move around a little bit more loose, they're not packed together. If I move my hand, they change their shape. And then air, I'm not even gonna try to do it because I don't want to litter, but it's like throwing these blocks way up in the air and having them just go wherever they want, okay? So those tiny pieces are everywhere, and I like to do an experiment just to show how tightly packed together everything is. So it involves your karate hand. So I like to go up against the wall and go. It's so tightly packed together that my hand can't go through it. In fact, my hand actually hurts from that. So then the other one that we can do is we can go down by the water, and I see some little minnows swimming down in there. And when we go down by the water, I'll show you as I put my karate hand into the water. So the water still stays together, my hand can go through it, and then the final one is air. Now with our air test, we hold our hand up and then we push it forward really fast. Now some of you are going to be able to feel wind, and that's because you're not actually feeling wind. What you're feeling is your hand pushing through matter in the air. So all around us, there's tiny little particles floating all around. So when you whoosh your hand through the air like that, you're actually going to feel all those particles move around your hand. As the seasons change from autumn or fall into winter, we're going to notice some changes. And one of those changes is light. Light is going to be less during the day because the sun is not hitting us as much. The earth tilts further away. The northern hemisphere tilts further away from the sun. And so we don't get as much sun, and that makes it a little bit colder. And you might notice that when you breathe. When you do that, you're going to see your breath. And that's actually the liquid moisture in your breath. When you breathe out, that is going to turn into a solid. So when you breathe, you're actually seeing a solid happen from the liquid that's in your breath, when you can actually see your breath like that when it turns cold. So that's an example of freezing. Freezing is when a liquid turns to a solid. And so we'll see that here at the lake. That liquid is going to turn into a solid, and that's when people start to be able to ice skate. Maybe not on Herrick Lake, but there are places that you can ice skate when liquids start to freeze over and turn into a solid, and it has to be a certain depth. Always ask for permission before you go ice skating and make sure it is an okay place to do that.